Kings and queens. Man, oh man, it's so good to finally be introducing you all to this podcast that has been so long overdue and a very rocky launch, but we made it and we are in a new year. Woo! Okay, so some of you are likely most familiar with me from my Instagram page and my YouTube page, where I have shared openly and transparently about my faith journey, as well as shared insights, tips, and feedback about mental health and mental wellness. For those of you who are not as familiar with me, my name is Diamond Booth, soon to be Dr. Diamond Booth. In about 7 months, y'all pray for your girl. I am a therapist specializing in trauma and suicidality. Those are my passions. That's where my heart lies. Under those umbrellas, I have also really enjoyed centering my work on and uh, and serving clients who have experienced childhood trauma, sexual assault, familial distress, identity conflicts, and poverty. And, you know, whenever people hear me talk about my work as a clinician and what I've enjoyed, they often have some sort of reaction, usually grounded in stigma, misinformation, biases, fear, or discomfort, or all of the above. For me, it's different because I know it's my calling and my passion. Ever since middle school, I've always known that I wanted to help the people who felt most helpless. Now, do not get it twisted. Just because something is your calling or your passion doesn't mean you won't still have moments or even seasons in which you feel tired or burnt out. I'm no exception. In fact, that's why getting this podcast off the ground took so freaking long. Y'all, 2023 was rough. You hear me? It was rough. Yet, despite the many valleys and low points I went through, I also got to see God heal, restore, rejuvenate, multiply, and build me up in ways I never, ever even imagined or even realized I needed. Actually, needed it. And this is why I'm doing this podcast, because the struggle of doing life is real. I know it to be true from my own experiences, and I've seen it to be true in the lives of my clients and students and family and friends. Life can be hard. And something I've learned is that faith helps, which is the name of this podcast. I've named this podcast Faith Helps because that is what kept me afloat through those rough times in 2023. My faith in God. And what grounded me was working on my mental health and wellness. Not simply working on it, it was devoting time to nurture and pour into myself, nurture myself. And once grounded, it was true relationship, not religion, not religious practices, but true relationship with God that helped me flourish. And throughout this podcast, though many topics will arise, these will be the foundational principles: faith, mental health, and last but certainly not never least, relationship with God, the ultimate foundation. So, with that being said, I want to officially welcome you all to Faith Helps and thank each of you for tuning in and embarking on this journey with me. It is my hope and prayer that the topics discussed here will do one of four things: encourage, inspire, heal, and challenge you. Yes, all four of those. I hope and pray you are encouraged to pursue your dreams wholeheartedly. I hope and pray you are inspired to be a change agent for your family, for your friends and community, and most importantly, for yourself. I hope and pray you are healed and experience breakthrough through validation, empowerment, and enlightenment. I hope and pray you feel challenged to make the necessary changes for a healthier life, release the unnecessary burdens, and recognize how essential you are to God's plan in this earth. You have a purpose, baby. You know, ever since I was the tomboy middle school girl, quick to stand out and quick to rebel against social norms and societal expectations, I've always been very passionate about these two things in my life: my relationship with God and psychology. I mean, technically, three if you want to count my unhealthy infatuation with all things related to dinosaurs, but that's a story for another time. In all seriousness, my faith and spiritual relationship with God, coupled with a love for helping people overcome some of the biggest mental and emotional challenges of their lives, is what drove me to pursue my doctoral degree in psychology. So you can imagine the heartbreak I felt when my first psychology professor in undergrad scoffed that Christianity and psychology cannot coexist. Excuse me, what? I eventually bounced back from that devastating assertion, reminding myself that the enemy is always busy looking to crush faith and dismantle dreams. But I'm going to keep going. Yet, it just kept happening. Class after class, school after school. I transferred a lot, y'all. But I saw it everywhere I was going. I was repeatedly delivered this message that I needed to choose either my faith or my career. But that rebel middle school girl down on the inside of me never went away. She was ready for war and revolution. She refused to accept such a lie. She was, as they say, about that life. After all, throughout my own life, I had witnessed firsthand how the marriage between faith and psychology helped me overcome suicidality, depression, anxiety, overwhelming stress, demonic attacks, and self hate, all at a very young age. There was simply no way, no freaking way, I was going to accept that lie. In fact, my life alone had served as a personal live action testimony of how faith and psychology can not only coexist, but work in tandem. In fact, they complement each other very well. I was determined to prove all the naysayers wrong. I believed and still believe that we truly can't have one without the other. While psychology taught me how to better understand myself, faith helped me accept myself. Now, thankfully, God was looking out for y'all girl here, okay? I had several inspirational and truly phenomenal role models throughout my life to further confirm and validate this innate pull I was feeling to approach my life and my career from a faith-based and psychology-informed perspective. My mom, my hero, my shiro, my biggest supporter, the first heartbeat I've ever known. Mom, she taught me who God is and how to reach him. Without even knowing it, she taught me how to center myself, how to hear my heart when everything around me is so loud, and how to recognize my beauty and my worth even when others missed it or chose not to see it. She embodied grace and taught me how to be a boss, removed all ceilings, and pushed me to reach beyond the stars. My mom made achieving my doctorate a reality, not just some pipe dream. I love and appreciate her so much. And I love and appreciate the one that she decided to marry, my dad. My first best friend, my road dog, y'all. Oh my goodness. I went everywhere with my dad growing up and pretty much still do. My dad, he taught me what friendship and authenticity really looks like and how to talk to God like a friend. As we went everywhere together, I got to see him do exactly what he said. He taught me how a man of his word and of God walks, not just talks. He exemplified calmness and taught me how to keep my head when all about me are losing theirs and blaming it on me. That's a Rudyard Kipling reference if you don't know. I love that poem. My dad taught me to keep my cool and be strong, literally, but especially physically. So don't try me, all right? And likewise, my big brother, CJ. Oh my gosh, I love you, CJ. He taught me loyalty to myself and others and how to be tough, to be the best of the best, even when the haters get to talking. He taught me how to endure hardships. He showed me how to endure hardships. I got to watch him go ahead of me so that he could clear the path for me. Even if he didn't realize that's what he was doing, that's what he did. And he taught me how to get back up. No matter how many times I get knocked down, he said, get back up. His legacy always preceded me, and people knew whose baby sister I was. That came with a lot of protection and respect. You know, just a few perks of having the best big brother ever. However, it also came with some big shoes to fill. And thanks to his military style training throughout our childhood, I feel up for the challenge. My mom, dad, and brother were the first catalyst to teach me the foundations on which I stand today, and I'm beyond grateful for them. They also showed me that family is not limited to blood relatives. As I grew up, and even still to this day, God has placed some remarkable people in my life to strengthen and fortify that foundation. Principal Sean Crystal Floyd, my voluntold godmother, who watched me grow up from just a shy, withdrawn third grader to strong willed rebel, just trying to figure out this thing we call life. She was my first living evidence of psychology and faith being one. She gave me the language I did not yet have for what I knew I was called to do. And in between the algebra classes and research papers, she patiently and openly taught me about psychology and God. She spoke life over me when I was speaking death. She taught me how to embrace my femininity instead of resent it, and how to forgive without needing an apology. I will never forget this one day we were standing in the sanctuary. The night before, there was this crazy, outrageous storm that hit Baltimore, and it took out so much electricity, and so many homes and houses and schools were without power. And I remember her coming into the sanctuary, greeting us in the morning, and I remember her sharing how she slept so peacefully despite the storm. I don't know why that memory stood out to me, but I remember thinking, I want a relationship like that with God. Because the one thing she highlighted is that she knew that God's peace was keeping her in that moment, keeping her throughout the night, keeping her soundly throughout the night, and also led her to pray for us. Oh my gosh, I looked up to her so much. And I appreciated her sharing that moment, even if she may not have known it was such a big deal. It was. And then there is Breda Shannon, the mentor I prayed and fasted for. Man, I don't even know where to start. Breda Shannon, you, and I say you because I know that you're going to listen to this. You were and are the booster shot to my faith in God. You taught me so much about God's beautiful word, real discipleship that loves unconditionally and non judgmentally and corrected my biggest misunderstandings and misconceptions. You helped me pull off the cloak of shame and guilt and accept God's grace and mercy and love. But what has been most valuable is the safe, therapeutic, and supportive space you created for me to heal from the shame, guilt, insecurities, and heartbreak. Man, thank you so much, Brother Shannon, for being my unpaid therapist. I will send you the bill in the mail. And Dr. SOS, aka Dr. Stacy Ote Scott, aka the unicorn God finally placed in my life as I concluded my doctoral journey. Well, concluding. Her finesse of intertwining sagacious interventions in therapy with Christian infused wisdom without ever even quoting not one scripture was mind blowing. Hashtag goals. And most recently, she said something that completely rerouted the mindset I was unknowingly about to carry over into 2024. Last month, she said to me, "You don't want your home to reflect a lack of discipline." I don't know if she knew how monumental that statement was and how deeply it hit me, but it was the wake up call I needed to truly walk in good stewardship and responsibility. Not just stewardship and responsibility over my home and my duties and bills and all that, but stewardship and responsibility over the gifts and the calling that God has placed in me. That statement alone triggered a chain reaction for change in my life. And it was the reminder I needed to step over the hurdles and fear and stand boldly with confidence in who God called me to be and what He has called me to do, starting with this podcast. So here I am. Here I am. Stepping on faith and passion. I eat psychology because I am passionate about helping others, not just survive, but thrive. And I want each of you to thrive. Yes, you, king, queen. I am passionate about your wellness, your holistic wellness, your mental health, emotional health, spiritual health, and physical health. I want that for all of us. I want all of us to live a thriving life. That's what God wants for us too. I'm dedicated to making this podcast a space for exactly that. A space where you can learn how to heal and thrive. A space where you can gain knowledge and wisdom. A space where you can fuel your mind with content that will encourage, inspire, heal, and challenge you as you work on living your best life and being BFFs with the good man upstairs. Through this podcast, I can only hope to have as much as an impact in your lives as my role models have had in mine. But I'm for sure going to try. Until next time, loves. Until next time, kings and queens. If nothing else, love yourself. And remember,